Today, I'm here in South Melbourne at Paul and Jess's beautiful little timber freestanding double-storey terrace, which is actually quite rare as a terrace type. Usually they're stone. But here in South Melbourne, this was built as an investment property by a very wealthy and prosperous baker who worked up the road. So this is all about rental income. So he wanted to build it cheaply, but make it look quite posh or fancy. So he went to all this trouble to, dress up the building a bit. And this is very common in the Victorian period. So what I mean is things like this. These here, for example, are timber weatherboards, but they've been cut to look like stonework. And this is reminiscent of the ashlar stone, which was used in proper Victorian terraces back in the day. So it's a way of fancying up a cheap material. Another version of the same thing, this one's I think even more interesting to me, is something like the door knocker here. This is a Kendrick & Sons, which is an English company. This one was done in 1871. The house was done in 1888. That's where you put your hand, right? You're going to hold onto the knocker and knock. And you can see the grapes in here. All those grapes, all that symbolism that's in there speaks about prosperity and life and vitality and love and richness. And the grapes actually are a really interesting symbol that have gone through all the cultures of the world, and they always mean something about vitality and health and life and love. So when you knock on the door, you're actually putting your hand on all of that before you come in the house. So we've been introduced to the idea of a prosperous and vital house. As you come into the hallway, we want to continue that message. The plasterwork in here does that to some degree, but I think what Jess and Paul have done, which is a simple but very effective trick, is just to use the colour differences between the white and the dark or the sage green here to elevate the room, make the ceiling feel like it kind of flies well above you, exaggerating the height of the space. I mean, it's a reasonably tall hallway as it is, but it just accentuates that kind of feature, and it works really well here on the plaster archway, which is non-structural, doesn't do any structural work, but you can see it's kind of setting up a decorative entry into the home. And all of that's about sort of making the home feel bigger and more important than it actually probably is. But this is what I really wanted to show you next. This is actually called the capping of the newel post, or the newel cap. This is a newel post here. And as you can see, this one's a carved acorn. So unlike the grapes, the acorn was all about strength and longevity and endurance and all the tough stuff that comes with being an oak tree. So the symbolism here is of a different order. It's about being here for a very, very long time as a family. So this is a really important little moment. So you've come in and the house is talking to you the whole time if you're listening. The last thing I want to show you is up the stairs. Follow me. What I want to show you here is something completely different, nothing to do with Victoriana at all. This is a teenager's bedroom, and I just think this is the cleverest thing to put the bed up in this little loft area here. Paul actually made this himself. So this is for their eldest daughter, as a way of making space in a fairly tight and compacted little kind of plan that we're in. This is a genius move. Look at all of this area that's been released back into the room. And can you imagine how cool this would be, being a teenager, having your own couch to hang out with your friends, looking at the northern sun? I think this is genius. I love it. So a few little tips and tricks, if you like, from this beautifully restored South Melbourne terrace. And if you're listening, the house is always telling you something.